it. So come to lie down onto your mat. So we're going to start, so we're going to look at working on the hips this week. So we're going to start with the soles of the feet together and the knees out wide. So you can have your feet kind of a little bit away from the body or further up towards the body, whichever's more comfortable. And just let the knees fall out to the side. And you can bring your hands just by the side of the body, maybe with the palms up or the palms down, whichever's more comfortable. And I'm just going to take 3 deep breaths. So breathing in through the nose. And then a slow sigh out through the mouth. You do that twice more. And just bringing yourself into your body, into the space. And so this week we're going to be looking at the hips, kind of focusing on the hips. So the kind of opening of the hips. So obviously the hip joint is a kind of ball and socket joint. So it kind of goes, the hips move in kind of lots of different directions. We're just going to be working on opening out the hips. It means that we've kind of got a, more kind of range of motion there. It can help kind of reduce any kind of issues with the hips, so kind of arthritis or kind of pain in the hips as well. We're just going to be working on kind of slowly opening the hips and focusing on the hip area. So this first pose is kind of opening up the hips out to the side and just gently kind of letting the knees fall down towards the side of the mat, towards the mat. We're now just focusing on kind of lengthening the breath. We're breathing into the whole of the upper body, so the belly, the rib cage and the chest. Long, slow breaths. You're trying to inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count of 4. And just noticing how the mind is today, whether the mind is quite active and lots of thoughts going through, or whether maybe it's a bit sluggish. Feel you need to wake up a bit. Just noticing that. And if you've got a very active mind, you can maybe just slightly extend the exhales over the inhales. And if the mind is a bit sluggish, just doing the opposite, so longer inhales over the exhales. And just seeing what difference that makes. And then just taking 3 more breaths here. And then just going to bring the hands to the top of the thighs, just underneath the thighs, and just bringing the knees up to center, just slowly. And then you can hug the knees into the chest. That's it. Maybe just rock side to side. And then just bringing the hands onto the knees. We're just going to move the knees in circles. So first of all, moving the knees together. So keeping the knees together, moving them in circles. So smaller circles and then getting bigger. Just feeling the lower back massaging out onto the mat. Feeling the movement in the hips. And then changing the direction of the circle. Smaller circles and then getting bigger. And then we'll hug the knees into the chest. So keeping our hands on the tops of the knees. We're then going to push the knees forward and bring them out to the side away from each other. And then bring them together, pushing them forward, out to the side. Feeling the hips opening out to the side. That's it. So just moving them knees apart. Just feeling the movement in the hips, maybe trying to get the circles a little bit bigger. That's it. And then one more here. And then we're going to push the knees just a bit forward with the hands. And then, which way did we come? Oh yeah, we're going to pull the knees into the chest. Hang on, which way do we go? We go in the opposite direction anyway. Sorry. So moving them in the opposite circle. That's lovely. And then one more circle here. And then we'll just hug the knees into the chest. And then just bringing the feet down onto the mat, we'll just come into a twist. So you can bring the arms out at shoulder height and just let the knees fall over to the left-hand side. So you want the knees to be kind of stacked on top of each other, or as much as possible, keeping that right shoulder grounded and taking the gaze over to the right-hand side. And just breathing into the right side of the body. And then we'll slowly bring the knees up to center. And just letting them fall out to the right-hand side. And taking the gaze over to the left. Keeping that left shoulder grounded. Trying to keep the knees on top of each other as much as is possible. Just keeping that left shoulder down onto the mat. And then we'll slowly come up to center. And we're going to hug the knees into the chest, taking the backs of the knees and just coming forwards and backwards onto the spine a few times, up and down, and then coming to a comfortable seat. That's it. So we're going to sit cross-legged. I'm going to sit with the shins crossed in the center, so the feet flexed. So you want the feet as much as possible to be under the knees. That's it. Flexing the feet. Bringing the hands onto the knees. So we're going to inhale to lengthen, reaching up towards the ceiling, and exhaling, coming forward, opening the chest. So noticing the stretch in the hips. That's it. And just breathing here for a couple of breaths. And then we'll slowly come up to center. And then just bringing the right hand behind you, left hand onto the knee. Inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to twist around. Taking the gaze behind you over the right shoulder. And then slowly coming back to center. We're going to take the right hand onto the left knee, inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to twist. The hips move a little bit, that's fine. You don't want to kind of push them in place. And they move to kind of come into the twist a little bit. And then slowly coming back to center. And we're going to swap, cross the legs in the opposite way, so the opposite shin and the front. Just flexing the feet underneath the knees. That's it. So we're going to inhale to lengthen and exhale to come forward. You may feel a bit more of a stretch this side. It may not feel kind of, if this isn't the way you normally cross the legs. And then we'll slowly come up to center. And we're going to bring the feet straight out in front of you, flexing the feet. So feeling the sit bones grounded, the spine long. That's it. So trying to keep the legs straight, so the feet together when we do this next one. We're going to come into a twist. So we're going to bring the right hand behind you, the left hand just by the right knee, and just twisting round here. That's it. Keeping the feet together, and then slowly coming back to center. We'll do the same on the other side. So left hand behind you this time. Inhale, lengthening, and exhaling to twist around. That's it, lovely. And then coming back to center. And then we're going to bend the right leg. And we're going to bring the foot, so the shin kind of in front of you. And we're going to, it's called cradling, so it's kind of like your leg is a baby. You're going to bring your right foot up towards the elbow and take the left arm round. So you're kind of cradling the leg. That's it. If you want to use your hand instead of your arm, just onto your foot, you can do. So we're just going to kind of cradle the leg and moving it side to side, just so you can feel the hip opening. So this is kind of pulling the leg towards you and then opening the hips out towards the side as well. That's it, lovely. And they'll get you doing strange things. And then we'll bring that leg down. And then we're going to bend the left knee. And then you can either take the foot into the right hand or bring it into the arm crease. And then kind of like a baby, you're just rocking it side to side, pulling that leg in towards you and rocking it side to side. That's it, lovely. Lovely. Okay. And then you can release that. And we're going to come to kneel. That's it. So, going to kneel. We're not going to tuck the toes under this time, just having the feet flat onto the mat. So, we're going to kneel down. And then we're going to reaching up with the left hand, reaching up. And you can bend the arm, bringing the palm onto the upper back. You can gently encourage the arm down the back. Just gently be mindful of the shoulder. And then with the right arm, bringing it round and taking hold of the t-shirt or taking hold of the hand. So just releasing the neck, just making sure your neck's not uncomfortable. And hugging the lower ribs in. So hugging in here kind of with the abdominal muscles. Just breathing here, just hugging in that the lower ribs. And then we're going to release the arm, release both arms. You can sway the arms about if you want to, just releasing the shoulders. That's it. And then we're going to reach up, so you're lengthening up here of the side of the body with the right hand, and then bringing the hand down onto the back. And then reaching out, oh sorry, yes, forgot that bit. You can, like bringing the hands, just gently encouraging it, mindful of the shoulder just a bit further down, and then reaching out with the left hand, taking hold of wherever the hand comes to. That's it. So one side may be a bit easier, or one side may, the hands may touch on one side. It's just kind of doing this on both sides helps to even out sides. So hugging in the lower ribs, just breathing here. And then you can release the arms. That's it, lovely. Lovely. And then we're going to come onto all fours now. Coming over onto all fours. Knees underneath the hips, hands spread out onto the mat. a little lift in the upper back of the shoulder, so that you're not dumping down into the shoulders. So just taking a few gentle cat-cows. So inhale to dip the belly, open the chest, look up. Exhaling, tucking the pelvis, pushing the mat away. Inhale, dipping the belly, open the chest. Exhaling, pulling the belly in. You can bring the toes into it. So as you inhale, open the chest, you can tuck the toes under. And as you exhale, just bringing the feet flat onto the mat again. So try it, see if you like it. Kind of helps you open the belly up a little bit more. Open the chest up. Just taking a few more. So on your next inhale, we're going to come to a neutral spine. And then we're going to tuck the right toes under. So straightening the leg, tucking the toes, bringing the heel down towards the mat, stretching out the leg. And we're going to bring the leg up to hip height. So heel points back, little toe down towards the mat so that the leg is hip height. And then we're going to bend the knee, bringing the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling. And we're going to do little pulses, but lifting up the leg up towards the ceiling. So lift, sort of like pushing the foot up towards the ceiling. You're opening out the hip, but you're also kind of using the glutes as well. Just trying to keep the hips level. Just little pulses. And keeping the breath flowing. That's it. So we'll do 5 more here. 3, 2, 1. And then bringing the leg down. Lovely. And then we're going to do the same with the left leg. So reaching the left leg out behind you, tucking the toes, pushing the heel down towards the mat. And then first of all, bringing the leg straight up towards the hips, so little toes pointing down. So that will keep the hips level. And then you want to bend the knee, pointing the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling. And so trying to keep the hips level, hugging the belly in. We're just going to make little pulses, pushing the foot up towards the ceiling. You feel it in the glutes. Little pulses, making sure you're still breathing. Hugging the belly in, help keep the stability. We'll do 5 more here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then coming down to all fours. I'm going to bring the toes together, the knees wide, and come to sit back into child's pose. So reaching the arms forward, forehead down towards onto the mat. So it doesn't matter if the sit bones don't touch the heels, just kind of bringing them down towards the heels, that kind of energy coming down towards the heels. You can breathe into the back of the body, into the rib cage. And then on the inhale, we're going to come up to all fours. Spread the hands out. And we're going to tuck the toes, push the hips up and back, coming into your downward facing dog. So pushing the hips up and back, spreading the hands out. You can just pedal the feet out, bringing one heel down to the mat and then the other. Stretching out the back of the legs. And then slowly walk the hands back towards the feet, coming into ragdoll pose. So feet hip distance apart, bending the knees, bringing the belly down towards the thighs. You take hold of the elbows. You can nod the head and shake the head. And then rocking forwards and backwards, side to side. And then we're going to release the arms, tuck the chin, bend the knees, and slowly come all the way up to standing. Lovely. So I'm going to stand with feet hip distance apart, thighs engaged, belly in and up towards the spine. Just bringing the shoulders away from the ears. Actually, we'll bring the hands onto the shoulders and just inhaling, reaching the elbows forward, up, and then exhaling back. So hands onto the shoulders, Julie. That's it. And then just bringing the elbows forward, up, and back. That's it. Just feeling the shoulders coming down the back, softening down the back. That's it, lovely. And then we'll bring the hands by the side of the body with the palms facing forwards. Feet hip distance apart, belly in and up towards the spine. We're going to inhale, reach the arms up above the head. So interlacing the fingers, just releasing the first finger, and kind of shuffling the arms back so they're by the ears. And on the exhale, we're going to come over to the left, pushing the hips out to the right. And then inhaling back up to center. And on the exhale, reaching over to the right, pushing the hips out to the left. Inhaling up to center. And on the exhale, coming forward from the hips, you can bend the knees. On an inhale, bring the hands onto the shins, opening the chest. Exhaling to fold forwards. And on the inhale, strong legs will reach the arms up above the head. On the exhale, bringing the hands down by your side. Lovely. We can do that again. So on an inhale, reach the arms up above the head. Interlacing the fingers, releasing the first finger, shuffling the arms back so they're by the ears. Exhaling over to the side. Inhaling up to center and exhaling over to the other side. Inhaling up to center and on an exhale, folding forward from the hips. On an inhale, hands onto the shins, opening the chest. Exhaling to fold forwards. On an inhale, strong legs, arms up above the head. On the exhale, bring the hands down by your side. Lovely. We're going to come to stand the front of the mat. So feet hip distance apart, belly in and up towards the spine. You're going to inhale to reach the arms up above the head. On an exhale, folding forward from the hips. On an inhale, hands onto the shins, opening the chest. On an exhale, bring the hands to the mat and step the right foot back, bringing the knee down to the mat. So on an inhale, we're going to sweep the arms up above the head. And then we're going to just dip down. So normally we're kind of upright, so the pelvis is up. So we're going to dip down into the hips and come into maybe just a slight back bend looking up. You're dipping down into your hips. You can, whoopsie, so you can feel a stretch in the front of the right hip. On an exhale, bringing the hands down to the mat. I'm going to step back into a plank. So inhaling here, hugging the belly in. And on an exhale, bringing the knees, thighs, hips, belly and chest down. So on an inhale, pushing the feet into the mat, opening out the chest. On an exhale, tucking back into downward facing dog. Taking an inhale here. On an exhale, lowering the knees to the mat. And step the right foot forward. On the inhale, sweeping the arms up above the head. On the exhale, we're going to dip down into the hips. And we come into a slight back bend. You can look up towards the ceiling, engaging the belly. Just breathing here. And on the exhale, bringing the hands down to the mat. We're going to step the back foot forward to meet the front foot. On an inhale, hands onto the shins, opening the chest. On an exhale, folding forwards. Inhaling, strong legs will reach the arms up above the head. On an exhale, bringing the hands down by your side. Lovely. So standing in Tadasana pose, feet grounding down, crown of the head reaching up towards the ceiling. On an inhale, reach the arms up above the head. On an exhale, folding forward from the hips. On an inhale, hands onto the shins, lengthening the spine. On an exhale, bring the hands to the mat. We're going to step the left foot back and just keeping the knee off the mat. On an inhale, we're going to open at the chest. Just feeling the hips opening, lightness into the fingertips. Just breathing here, just a couple of breaths. So taking a deep inhale. And on an exhale, planting the hands down, we're going to step into plank. So inhaling here, hugging the belly in. And on an exhale, bringing the knees, thighs, hips, belly and chest down to the mat. On an inhale, hugging the arms into the body, opening out the chest. On an exhale, and tuck back into downward facing dog. Taking an inhale here. On an exhale, lowering the knees to the mat. I'm going to step the left foot forward. Just making sure the knee is over the ankle in the front foot. On an inhale, tucking the back toes, lifting up the back knee and opening out the chest. So imagining your feet are kind of hugging in towards each other. You're light onto the fingertips. Lightness, lift in the upper body. So one more inhale here. On an exhale, we're going to step the back foot forward to meet the front foot. Inhaling up to your halfway lift, lengthening. Exhaling to fold forward. On an inhale, strong legs, reaching the arms up above the head. On an exhale, bringing the hands down by your side. Lovely. So we're now going to come to stand with the feet wide onto the mat. And then, first of all, we're going to have the toes slightly turned in, so the sides of the feet are parallel to the mat. And we're going to bring the hands onto the hips. Okay. So on an inhale, we're going to open the chest, lengthening the spine. On an exhale, we're going to bend the knees slightly and come forward with the hips, from the hips, coming forward just until the back starts to round, and then just pausing here. If the hands come down to the mat, you can bring them down. Otherwise, just leave the hands onto the hips. So on each inhale, we're going to lengthen the spine. And on an exhale, try to find a bit more forward fold from the hips, hugging the belly in and folding forward. Yeah. Lovely. If the hands come onto the mat, you can bring the palms down if they come down. Just bringing the hands back a little bit. Each inhale to lengthen. And on an exhale, coming forward. So on an inhale, we're going to come up halfway. On an exhale, bring the hands back onto the hips, tuck the chin. And then inhale with the long spine, come all the way up to standing. Lovely. So then bringing your left foot, to point out to the front of the mat. And the right foot to just pivot in slightly. So the pivoting helps the right hip kind of turn inwards. That's it. So you can get kind of a bit more forward motion. So bringing the hands onto the hips, just checking the pelvis is level. So it's not left or right, it's not sticking out forward or backwards. We're going to bend the front knee. That's it. And bring the arms up to shoulder height. Just taking a few breaths here in Warrior Two. Arms are strong. You can feel this right hip kind of coming in and the left hip opening out to the front. We take an inhale here. And on an exhale, we're going to cartwheel the hands down to frame the front foot. And we're going to bring the knee onto the mat, the right knee onto the mat. So you're in a low lunge. That's it. So on an inhale, we're going to dip the hips down, open out the chest. So you can feel a stretch in the right hip, the front of the right hip. And on an exhale, we're going to pull the hips back, walking the hands back, and flexing the front foot, bringing the front leg not necessarily straight, just straightening it out until you can feel a nice stretch in the hamstring. And then on an inhale, we're going to walk the hands forward, dipping down in the hips, opening out the chest. And on an exhale, pulling the hips back, coming to straighten that front leg, flexing the front foot. Lovely. And then one more time on an inhale, opening out the chest, dipping down into the hips. And on an exhale, we're going to plant the hands to the mat, step the back foot forward to meet the front foot. On an inhale, coming up to your halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward. On an inhale, strong legs, reach the arms up above the head. On an exhale, bringing the hands down by your side. Lovely. So now again, we're going to step to the side of the mat. Okay. And again, the feet are slightly turned in, so the sides of the feet are parallel to the sides of the mat. And we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back. So the palms are kind of coming towards each other. And you can shuffle the shoulder blades under. Sit, get comfy. So on an inhale, I'm going to open out the chest, fists come towards the mat. And on an exhale, slight bend in the knees, coming forward from the hips, keeping the spine long. Coming forward. You can bring the arms above the head if that's okay for the shoulders. Keeping the back of the spine long. And you're just going to bring the weight slightly onto the balls of the feet. So keeping the heels down, but the weight slightly coming forward, so you can feel the inner thigh switching on. And again, on each inhale, you can lengthen the spine. And on an exhale, maybe coming forward a bit, coming forward from the hips, not from the waist. Keeping the breath moving. Lovely. One more breath here. And on an inhale, we're going to bend the knees and come all the way up to standing with a long spine. Lovely. So now we're going to have the right foot to face the front of the mat. Sorry, yeah, if you want to shuffle the shoulders out, you can do. And then the left foot to come to face the top left-hand corner of the mat. So bringing the hands onto the hips, making sure they're level. Pelvis is neutral. We're going to bend the front knee. So just that front knee is over the ankle. That's it. I'm going to bring the arms up to shoulder height. So shoulders softening, arms strong. Gazing over the middle finger, the front arm. That's it. You can feel that right hip kind of turning in. Sorry, left hip kind of turning in. The right hip coming forward. Taking a few breaths here, feeling this strong and confident pose. So taking one inhale here, and on an exhale, we're going to cartwheel the hands down to frame the front foot. The back toes come forward, and the back knee comes down to the mat. So just checking with the front foot that the knee is over the ankle. I'm going to inhale, opening the chest, dipping down in the hips. And on the exhale, we're going to walk the hands back, pulling the hips back, flexing that front foot. The front leg doesn't have to be straight, just until you can feel a nice stretch in the hamstring. So inhaling to come forward, dipping down, opening at the chest. On an exhale, coming back, Pulling the hips back, walking the hands back, stretching out the front leg. And then on the inhale, we're going to come forward, dipping down, feeling like you can, the stretch in the left hip. On an exhale, we're going to step the back foot forward to meet the front foot. On an inhale, hands onto the shins, opening the chest. Exhaling to fold forwards. And on the inhale, strong legs, reach the arms up above the head. On an exhale, bringing the hands down by your side. Lovely. So we're going to come to step out to the side of the mat again. But this time we're going to have the feet pointing out towards the sides. So you don't want them pointing too far out. You want we're going to dip down. You want the knees to kind of be coming over the feet. So you want to be able to kind of see the inner calf muscles. That's it. So we're going to bring the hands onto the hips. I'm going to dip down, but imagine that your body is coming straight down a wall. So your body stays upright, doesn't come forward. Okay. So we're going to inhale to dip down. That's it. Bending the knees, coming into a squat. And we're going to bring the arms up, shoulder height with the elbows bent. This is goddess pose. So we're going to inhale, we're going to straighten the legs, bring the arms up above the head, straightening the arms. And then exhaling to dip down. That's it. You're moving with the breath, inhaling up and exhaling down. So just keeping going with your breath. Leading with the breath and keeping the breath for the length of the movement. Making sure the body is dipping down. If you've got any pain in the knees, you may need to bring your feet in just a little bit. That's it. And then challenge yourself, dipping down, challenge your thighs. And then one more time, I'm going to dip down, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to bring the hands onto the knees. So just with the thumbs facing towards the middle and the palms at the fingers out towards the side. So you can come down and come forward now with the body. I'm just going to do shoulder dip. So just dipping one shoulder down to the center and coming up. And dipping the other shoulder down into the center and coming up. Making sure you're breathing. It's kind of twisting round. Lovely. And then one more on each side. That's it. And then we're going to bring these up. That's it. And then bring the feet into center. Lovely, well done. No, it's quite along the thighs. Okay, so we're going to come to do a balance. I'm going to hit out moving the balance side. So bringing the weight onto the right foot. And then we're going to bring the left knee up, hugging the left knee in towards the chest. So your right leg is strong, it's flexed. Sorry, your right leg is strong. And the left foot, you want to flex the left foot, so you want to keep that foot active. And you can stay here, or you can bring your left hand onto your left knee, your right hand onto your hip, and just bringing the knee out to the side. And keep the hips facing forwards. Keep that right foot flexed, so the leg is actually kind of lighter because the muscles are engaged. That's it. Just breathing here. If you want to challenge yourself a bit more, you can take your gaze over your right shoulder. And then slowly we'll come back to center. Now we're just going to kick your leg out in front of you, just holding onto the hips. Imagine you're kind of lifting up from your inner thigh, keeping up, and then exhaling, bringing the leg down. lovely. Well done. And then we're going to bring the weight onto the left foot, and then lifting up the right knee, hugging that leg in. That's it, lovely. So just finding a point to look at, finding a center of gravity. And then you can bring your right hand onto your right knee, left hand onto your left hip. Bring your foot out to the side. Keeping that right foot flexed. And again, if you want to, you can take the gaze over your left shoulder. Hugging the belly in. And then slowly coming back to center. And then kicking out the right leg. Just holding it up. Imagine the kind of inner thighs lifting up. And then on the exhale, bringing the hands down. Well done. Well done. Okay, so we're going to come down now to sit onto the mat. Okay. We're going to bring the legs straight out in front of you. Feet flexed. So sitting tall, feeling the spine long. And inhale to reach the arms up, lengthening up from the sit bones, and exhaling, coming forward. You can bend the knees to take hold of the big toes. Maybe slightly come to straighten the legs, but just making sure that the spine is long. On each inhale, you can find length in the spine, and exhale to fold forward. Breathing here. You want to inhale, come back up to seated. And then we're going to keep the feet flexed straight out in front of you. I'm going to come into a twist. So twisting on the right hand comes behind you. So inhale to lengthen and exhale to twist around. So keeping the feet flexed. And then slowly coming back to center. And then we're going to bring the right hand onto the knee, the left hand behind you. Inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to twist around. And then slowly coming back to center. So now bending the right knee. That's it. I'm going to let the knee fall out to the side. So your body is slightly twisted over your left leg. Left foot is flexed. And inhale to reach up, lengthening. And exhaling to come forward. Opening the chest out towards the toes. Feeling a stretch in the hamstring of your left leg. Gazing towards your toes. And on an inhale, coming up back to center. I'm going to bring the left leg out to the side. So your body's facing forwards. And the right foot, is just into the thigh of the left leg. You're going to bring your left hand, the back of the hand onto the leg. We're going to come over to the side, so you can take hold of the ankle or the foot, and then reaching up with the right arm, coming over to the side. You feel just a stretch in the lower back on the right hand side. And pulling that right shoulder back a little bit, that's okay for your shoulders. Your chest opens a little bit out. That's it, lovely. And then slowly coming back to center. And then we'll bend the left leg and letting the knee fall out to the side. So the body's straight over the right leg. I'm going to inhale to reach the arms up, lengthening, and on the exhale, coming forwards. Shoulders away from the ears, chest opening out towards the toes. Taking your gaze down towards your big toe. And on an inhale, coming up back to center. Bringing the right leg out to the side. Okay. The body's facing forwards. Back of the right hand onto the leg, coming out towards the side. So feeling a stretch in the side of the body. And then you can sweep the other arm up, over. That's it. So again, a slight stretch in the lower back on the left-hand side. Opening out the chest. You're not kind of coming forward like this, you're opening out. You can gaze forward or up towards the ceiling. And then slowly coming back to center. That's it. I'm going to bring the soles of the feet together and bringing the hands onto the ankles. We're going to just gently encourage the knees down towards the mat. We're pushing into the knees and the thighs, just gently kind of opening out the hips, encouraging the legs down. Okay. So, and take hold of the ankles. So inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to come forward from the hips, opening out the chest forward. So we don't want to round the spine, we want to keep the spine long. So you can feel a stretch in the hips and the groin and the inner thighs. Taking the gaze forward and down so the neck is long. And then we'll slowly come up to center. Straightening out the leg, well, sorry, not straightening out the legs, pushing the feet forward. So you've got a diamond shape with the legs. And again, taking hold of the shins or the ankles. Inhale to find length, feeling the sit bones onto the mat, growing tall from there. And exhaling, coming forward from the hips, but rounding the spine. You can bring the crown of the head down towards the mat. You can close the eyes or soften the gaze. And just maybe tap into your breath. Make sure you're breathing, keeping the breath flowing. And then slowly coming up to seated. I'm going to come down to lie onto your back, keeping your knees bent. So you want your feet up towards the sit bones. That's it. And your feet hip distance apart, they're pointing forwards. Now bringing the hands onto the mat beside you with the palms facing down. You're going to inhale to lift up the hips, lifting up the back of the mat, lifting the hips up, pointing the chest up towards the chin. Feel the glutes engaging, and with the inner thighs, just feel like you're hugging a block together. Your inner thighs are engaged. And then on an exhale, we're slowly going to bring the back down the mat until you bring the hips down onto the mat. So just moving between up and down with the breath. You can bring the arms into it. So as you inhale to lift up the hips, bring the arms forward, up and back behind the head. And then as you exhale to bring the back down, you can bring the arms forward and down by the side of the body. So just moving with the breath, feeling the nice massage into the spine. Just gently engaging the glutes as you get to the top, making sure the knees are pointing forwards. In the breath to last the whole of the movement, and the breath starts the movement. You inhale and then moving the hips up. As you exhale, then moving the back down. So when you next come to bringing the hips onto the mat, just pausing here, there's no rush to get there. I'm going to bring the feet wide as the mat. You can bring the arms up to shoulder height and just let the knees fall over to the left and then fall over to the right. Just swaying the legs, just feeling the lower back releasing. If you want to pause on one side, you can do. Just feeling a bit more of a release. And then you can pause on the other side. So when you come back to center, just pausing here. And then we're going to hug the knees into the chest. Hugging the knees in, hugging into a tight ball. And then releasing, coming into your final relaxation. You can have your feet wide, your legs long, or bringing your knees bent, feet wide, legs together. So just one final big deep breath in. And then you can just sigh out through the mouth. And then just let your breath return to a more natural breath. You can bring your mind to focus onto your breath. One tool to use to help focus your mind onto the breath is to count the breaths. So just counting 1 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale, just until you get to 10, and then starting again. If your mind wanders off and you forget where you were, just start again at 1. If your mind's wandered off, just gently bring it back onto your counting, or just onto your breath. And just starting to become aware of the back of the body where it meets the mat. And the space above the body in the room. Just gently bringing some movement into the body, wiggling the fingers and the toes. You can stretch the arms above the head if you want to stretch down to the fingertips. And then slowly hugging the knees into the chest and just rolling over onto your right hand side. Gently pushing yourself up to a comfortable seat. And just bringing the hands together at heart center as we bow our chin to our chest. As we bow down to this practice, and I thank you for letting me lead you through this practice today. Have a lovely day. Namaste.